Here's what most truck guys don't want you to know. Imagine a scenario where that massive F-150 Raptor gets stuck on a trail and this little Maverick Tremor drives right by. That's not dumb luck. There are several engineering factors that determine off-road capability, and truck size isn't one of them. Today, we're taking this Tremor through terrain that should embarrass it to prove that everything you think you know what makes a capable off-roader is probably wrong. And by the end of this episode, you'll fully understand why Ford turned the Tremor into its own trim line and why that matters more than you think. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. This Tremor is Ford's answer to a very simple question. Can you build a truck with genuine off-road capability that doesn't punish you on a day-to-day basis when you're not using that capability? In this episode, we'll find out if their engineering team succeeded or if this is another compromise disguised as innovation. And before we get into what it's like to drive, let's have a look at this Tremor in a little more depth. For 2025, there are a lot of updates for Maverick, but the most important thing for this episode is that they've elevated the Tremor to its own trim level. Major updates include Sync 4 with a massive 13.2-inch touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and trail control as standard equipment. Under the hood is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo EcoBoost, makes 250 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 277 pounds of torque at 3,000 RPM. Transmission's an 8-speed automatic. This is all-wheel drive, and it's unique to Tremor with a twin-clutch rear diff that can distribute up to 70% of available torque to each rear wheel. Plus, that rear diff can be electronically locked, and front-to-rear torque distribution of this all-wheel drive system is 50-50. Steering's electrically assisted, and about the suspension, it's unique to Tremor, and here's what you need to know. It's the same suspension design as other Mavericks, but with a 1-inch lift. Front suspension is McPherson struts, aluminum lower control arms, there's a steel subframe, cast knuckles, and a sway bar, and a twin tube shock with different valving that's unique to Tremor. Rear suspension is a multi-link trailing arm style with coil springs and a sway bar. Now, the spring and damping rates are unique to Tremor and they're softer, but suspension travel is the same. The philosophy here is more about absorption rather than articulation. Brakes are 4-wheel discs, of course. Wheels and tires are 17s. They're Tremor specific with all-terrain Goodyears. Ground clearance is 9.1 inches. The Tremor has a front bumper design that allows greater approach angles, 30.8 to be exact. There's a 19.9 breakover angle, and this has a 21.6 departure angle. The Tremor has 5 unique drive modes and off-road trail control. Curb weight is 3,892 pounds. Towing capacity is 2,000 pounds, and payload is 1,200 pounds. It's worth mentioning that this is less than FX4, which can tow up to 4,000 pounds with the 4K tow package, and it has more payload because of its suspension tuning. Plus, this truck has more orange accents than a Home Depot uniform, but somehow makes it look cool instead of making it look like you're about to ask me if I need help finding something. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this, and if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Behind the wheel, we have the same basic cockpit from the Maverick that we know and love. You're seated high off the floor and a great seating position for visibility, whether you're on or off-road. The steering wheel diameter is on the smaller side, which I really appreciate. Suits the character of this Maverick and suits the size of the cabin. The seat itself is definitely on the smaller side because this is a Maverick after all, not an F-150, and it's modestly bolstered, so there's not a lot of lateral support when the corners get interesting. But there's a lot of adjustment in the seat and the steering column to suit all kinds of sizes of human beings. I've got a great relationship to the pedals. There's a fantastic dead pedal for my left leg. Really appreciate that, especially when we're off-roading. What I love about this interior is that it's not dull and boring. There's lots of cool features and lots of great design touches, and I think Ford really understands that not all truck buyers are masochists. Seating position spot on, pedal spacing works for normal human feet. Most importantly, everything you need regularly is within easy reach. It's like Ford actually tested this interior with real human beings instead of expecting those human beings to adapt to whatever it is that they delivered. Really appreciate this digital instrument cluster. It's legible in all kinds of lighting conditions. The biggest change inside the Maverick of 2025 is the massive infotainment screen. Love the way it works and the way it displays CarPlay. I use it on wireless CarPlay, and that's great. But perhaps it's because I'm accustomed to other vehicles where their infotainment screens are angled towards the driver or a little canted forward. This one just seems a little odd to me in the way it's positioned. Here with Sync 4 and this massive infotainment screen, previous generations felt like they were designed by engineers who never actually driven a car. This system responds like you expect it to. Information is organized logically and it doesn't fight you every step of the way. The wireless connectivity works consistently and quickly, which sounds basic but is apparently difficult to achieve, especially at this price point. It's technology that actually enhances the driving experience instead of complicating it. Ergonomically, this is modern Ford, so if you're accustomed to Ford ergonomics, you'll be right at home here. We do have this dial type shifter, and I really appreciate the way it works because it is electronic. So for example, if we're stopped and we're done for our drive, all we have to do is hit the stop start button and shut the Maverick down, and it automatically puts the Maverick in park. In the front row, there's a surprising amount of room, lots of storage space as well, and an exceptional amount of headroom. Even with the sunroof here, there's a lot of headroom. In the second row, well, I can just fit behind myself in this seating position, and lots of people love to complain about how close I sit to the steering wheel, but I am a racer after all, and I know how to sit properly behind the wheel. In terms of visibility, well, it's actually quite good. Again, you're seated high off the floor, so you've got a great view ahead, and because there's tall glass all around, you can see in every direction. Plus, this has cameras to help you when you're parking, and everyone knows that I need a lot of help when I'm parking because racers can't parallel park. Even though the Maverick is a small truck, the way they've configured storage in this cabin is pretty clever. There's underseat storage for valuable items that you want to keep out of sight, multiple cup holders for the reality of modern beverage consumption, and door pockets sized for actual objects that people really carry. It's practical design that doesn't sacrifice storage or style for that matter, kind of like having organizational skills that don't make you boring. Even though we are talking about a 2-liter EcoBoost, this is still relatively quick, and it sounds good too. 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, and top speed's limited to about 115 miles an hour, which is more than fast enough. Like a lot of modern cars, the real story is the torque out of this 2-liter EcoBoost. It makes peak torque way low in the rev range, and I think we can all agree that the 2-liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost from Ford has come a very long way. This is definitely not the laggy Turbo 4 from previous generations. This current version builds power in a linear way, responds predictably, and delivers torque where you actually need it. It's more than quick enough to merge confidently onto the freeway, but not so powerful that it overwhelms the chassis. As for the transmission, it's great in drive, just wonderful, and it's calibrated to work perfectly with that engine. But when I'm in manual mode, well, that leaves something to be desired. There's a little bit of a delay when I pull one of the shift paddles, whether I'm going up or down the box, and shift action is actually slow. I think that this Maverick Tremor works best when you just leave it in drive. The engineering that's gone into the all-wheel drive system is very clever in a very practical way, and I would have expected a small truck like this with a driveline like this to be overwhelmed, but on all of the terrain that we've driven today, it's never put a foot wrong. Because it's being managed by computers, it's a bit like off-roading all-wheel drive for dummies, but that's not a bad thing because no matter what kind of terrain we've driven today, going uphill, downhill, through mud, on this loose sand, I've never had this Maverick put a foot wrong. Certainly these Goodyear all-terrain tires have something to do with it. That twin clutch rear diff is much more refined than people give it credit for. It can send up to 70% of available torque to either rear wheel independently, while the front to rear split varies continuously based on traction conditions. And I gotta say, this entire all-wheel drive system gives it more capability than you'd expect from a truck of its size, which is exactly what compact truck buyers want. Here off-road, this suspension soaks up the bumps no matter what I've thrown at it. During this drive, the suspension just soaks it up, and these tires also do a fantastic job. But this suspension, specific to the Tremor, even though there's not any more travel here, the way they've set the suspension up does a great job soaking up the bumps. Plus, I gotta say, even though we're not talking about a super sophisticated set of shocks here, they do an excellent job with body and wheel control, even in situations where I've gone a little faster than I should have given the terrain. The suspension just says, give me more, I can handle it. This is the thing. Delivering a truck that has genuine off-road capability with good on-road manners is probably the best kind of automotive compromise. The shocks absorb sharp impacts from rocks and ruts while still maintaining body control during highway maneuvers. Most off-road focused vehicles make you choose between capability and comfort, and the Tremor manages both very competently. What's impressive about this Tremor is how it transitions from different driving environments seamlessly. Like, we're going from an off-road trail to pavement here, and this is just a perfect example. Stability control calibration understands the difference between intentional sliding, which we like, and unintentional loss of control. And that, my friends, is the proper application of technology in vehicles designed for enthusiasts like us. Earlier today, I ran into a Wrangler owner who was telling me all about his Wrangler and how his solid axles are superior to anything else. And then later, he got to watch me climb some terrain that even he couldn't get up in his Wrangler. And I have to commend the brakes because they're powerful and they're basically drama-free. Pedal feels linear, predictable. Modulation is precise whether we're on or off-road, and stopping power is more than adequate for the Maverick. The steering being electrically assisted, well, don't expect a lot of feel through the steering wheel, that's for sure, but thankfully the steering is direct and precise. And that's whether we're on the road enjoying some corners and cornering speeds get interesting, or off-road where we've got to be very precise about how we're placing the tires to climb over obstacles or simply avoid damaging this Tremor. When we're on the road, there's one thing I do have to share, and that is there's a little bit more noise from these off-road oriented tires. You can hear it at almost all road speeds. Here on the road, very happy with how this handles, and there's a decent balance between ride comfort and control. Minimal body roll, but overall it's still very enjoyable in the corners. How do you spec yours? Well, there are some considerations. What you are looking at is a 2025 Ford Maverick Tremor in eruption green paint with the black onyx interior. In the US, base price is $39,795, and with some modest options as tested, this is $41,390. In Canada, base price is $48,000, and as tested, this is $49,850, and these prices are before freight, taxes, fees, etc. And I gotta say, Ford's pricing strategy for this Tremor tells you a lot about the confidence they have in this product. At this price, they're positioned competitively against mid-level trim full-size trucks while offering superior off-road capability. The standard equipment is genuinely generous. Heated seats, advanced infotainment, comprehensive safety tech, and trail control come standard. Most manufacturers would charge extra for this stuff. Ford's betting that giving customers real value up front creates loyalty rather than maximizing profit per transaction. traction. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a smart long-term strategy that benefits customers. In terms of speccing yours, well, it's simply a matter of adding the equipment you need to your Maverick Tremor. Base equipment is very comprehensive, and it's simply a matter of choosing your colors and being happy with your Maverick Tremor. Before we get into whether you should buy one of these, let's take a deep dive into what owners have been saying about their Maverick ownership experience. First, the good news: Ford left engineers a hidden diagnostic mode that owners call the Konami code. Hold the OK button while starting the engine until ET appears in green. Suddenly, you can see exact radiator temps, test all of your gauges, and even fix the fuel economy display that reads about 2 miles per gallon too optimistic from the factory. Some owners are reporting that the transmission becomes a pain point way after the warranty expires, so make sure you maintain yours properly. But here's where things get interesting. The Maverick community has created an entire ecosystem around Ford's Fit system. Those little slots throughout the cabin, Ford released the CAD files, so now there's a cottage industry of 3D printed accessories, everything from Nintendo Switch holders to custom storage solutions. The takeaway from those ownership experiences, well, this truck has hidden depth that most reviews miss, that's for sure, and there are some hidden realities that might affect your purchase decision. My verdict, well, we often start with fuel consumption at this point in the episode, but I haven't been tracking it simply because I've been enjoying driving this Maverick Tremor, and if I remember to track it, I might put it here on the screen for you. As for the Maverick Tremor, here's what really matters. Those things that make a good off-roader: approach angle, breakover angle, ground clearance, wheel articulation, and traction management. The Tremor delivers on all of those, and that twin-clutch diff manages traction better than systems in trucks twice its price. Size gives you payload and towing capability, but it actually works against you on technical terrain. The Tremor proves that smart engineering beats big engineering every single time. And I think that's why they made Tremor its own trim level, because they understand what really matters to their customers. In a lot of ways, this Tremor represents Ford at its best. They listen to customers, they apply some solid engineering, and deliver a whole lot of capability at a fair price. If you need a truck that can handle serious off-road work from time to time, but don't want to daily drive something the size of a city bus, this is your answer. While other manufacturers are busy explaining why their trucks cost 80 grand, Ford quietly built one that costs 40 grand and doesn't require any justification. This Maverick Tremor proves that size doesn't determine capability, smart engineering does, and Ford got this one right, and my guess is that it'll spawn a bunch of imitators, and for once, that's good news for truck buyers. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 Ford Maverick Tremor. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring. So please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including a very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Ford Mavericks. And since you've hung around this long, well, have a look at something completely different in the Maverick lineup. That's the Maverick Lobo. And that thing is very impressive, especially in the corners. And I think you might enjoy that episode. Thanks again for watching. See you again next time.